Hello my fellow chatterers and book lovers, and anyone else who's popped in because you're curious about what this is or you have got a bit lost. I'm Chatty, this is my channel Chatty's Mad Chatter, and I'm going to be chatting away madly about the stats for the books that I have read in August. And I wanted to film outside today, so here we are. We have the lovely backdrop of a wooden fence because this is just the most convenient place to be, because I can have my books propped up on this wall. And it just feels nice to be outside rather than inside a stuffy house on this lovely day. So August, I was doing the Magical Readathon created by G from Book Roast. So a lot of the books I picked up that month were inspired to be fitting those prompts. But I did play my TBR game, Book Ladders and Bookworms, which I will link here should you like to see that. And these are the results. So you get my handy notebook so that I can remember what everything was. But before we do that, it's one shot. The camera keeps rolling. There is no editing. So cheers everyone. Clink, clink, clink. Wish me luck. So I have Red, White and Royal Blue by Rajani La Rococo. Which was for the lucky ladder. I got a Feagle, so I got to steal a book from under my bed, and that is the one I chose because I had it in mind for one of my prompts and I was very excited to get it. Then we had a Mad March hair pick, which is my booktube name for my eldest son, and being a recent Percy Jackson fan, he wanted me to continue my reread of the series and chose the next book, which was Percy Jackson and the Battle of the Labyrinth. I apologise, it was not windy when I started filming, but now it's lovely. I'm getting lovely breezes, but I have no idea what the sound quality is like, so sorry if you can't hear me. I then did the Nerf Dart Challenge, and the hole I shot through was middle grade. So for middle grade, I picked A Kind of Spark by Elle McNichol, which is a book that I have been wanting to get to my TBR since March. I then had another child pick. This time it was my Dormouse choice, and he chose The Shadow Cabinet by Juno Dawson, because he was originally choosing from, I didn't have that book at that point because it was under my bed, I needed to earn it, and he was presented with this bright neon pink book and he thought I would enjoy that one the most, so that was his choice. I then did Roll Away, and the prompt card that I got was one I was very excited to pick up, which was the Global Majority, because I knew exactly what I had in mind for that one, and that is Sing Me to Sleep by Gabby Burton. And the final prompt, because I did 3 in a row, I got an All Mad Here card, which is more of a challenging one, so I had to play a difficult book game off with that book, and I really wanted to win this book, The Teen LGBT Plus by Jamie Rains, and I didn't. So I didn't get to read that one or my second, third or fourth choice. I ended up with one that I really was not in the mood to read this month, which was The Horse Who Came Home by Olivia Tuffin. So even though I am not at the moment doing any rewards or punishments because it's just not working, I wanted to try and give myself the opportunity to try it and kind of the encouragement to be doing my book reviews on Storygraph, but I need to kind of work out what is blocking me from doing that. So I'm not doing book rewards and book punishments for the foreseeable future. It's just interesting, am I reading the books that I set myself or am I not? So that is all. And I did manage to read all of them apart from A Kind of Spark. I still haven't read A Kind of Spark, and the problem with this was because it didn't fit in with any of the prompts that I had for the Magical Readathon, so it didn't get read. Sorry, A Kind of Spark. However, I have a huge collection of other books that I'm going to add into the mix. So we have Making Money by Terry Pratchett. We have Jamie Rains, The Teen LGBT Plus, because I read The Horse Who Came Home. So because I read The Horse Who Came Home, I could then read this one afterwards. Woohoo! I then have knocking myself out, Julia and the Shark by Kieran Melwood Hargrave and Tom DeFreston, The Hollow Hills by Mary Stewart, and carryover from July, because I started reading this in July but didn't finish, I read most of it in August, and that is Fool's Assassin by Robin Hobb. I'm going to add all those to the shelf and we're going to start talking through the stats. So I link all my books to animal sizes because I'm a visual person. So anything that is 150 to 300 pages is a mouse. So I read 3 mouse-sized books. The Horse Who Came Home, Red, White and Whole, Julia and the Shark, and the T in LGBT+. I then read 3 goat-sized books, which is anything from 301 to 400 pages, and that is Sing Me to Sleep, Percy Jackson, Battle of the Labyrinth, Making Money. And I then read 1 cow-sized book, which was The Hollow Hills, and 2 elephants. We have The Shadow Cabinet and Fool's Assassin. In terms of age range, I read 4 middle grade books. So that's Julia and the Shark, Red, White and Whole, The Horse Who Came Home, and Battle for the Labyrinth. So out of 10, that gives me 40% was middle grade, and I'm aiming for 33% and above, so I hit that goal. So I'm very excited that my middle grade reading is continuing. Woohoo! I then read 2 YA, which is Sing Me to Sleep and the T in LGBT+. I don't know if the T in LGBT+ is classified as YA, but it was very easy to read. And I felt like it had a lot of, it was really helpful for youth in particular, it'd be helpful for anyone at any age, but in particular youth, so that's why I'm classing it as YA rather than adult. And I read 4 adult books: The Shadow Cabinet, Fool's Assassin, Making Money, and The Hollow Hills. So on to genres, and what a surprise! Biggest one was fantasy with 6 books: Shadow Cabinet, Fool's Assassin, Making Money, Percy Jackson, Battle of the Labyrinth, Sing Me to Sleep, and Hollow Hills. Now, Hollow Hills is classified as fantasy because it's a retelling of the Legend of Arthur. However, it's got a very tiny bit of fantasy in. So I also feel this is historical fiction because the study of the historical time is done so well and so detailed. So I also think this is a historical fiction. There's a wobbly table that my camera's propped on, so that's why it keeps going. So if you enjoy that kind of 400 years period, kind of like the Dark Ages before things were so chronologically recorded, this might be interesting for you. It also has a much bigger kind of mix of Roman and Celtic mix, so it's very interesting, with the Saxony and Viking bits coming in as well. Okay, anyway, I've gone off on a tangent. And yes, other genres. So I read 2 contemporary. So that is Julia and the Shark and the Horse Who Came Home. And I read 1 historical fiction, unless you count The Hollow Hills, which was set in the 1980s, which is Red, White and Whole. And 1 non-fiction, which is the T in LGBT+. In terms of format, there's not a huge variety this month. There are 9 books in novel form, 0 graphic, 0 audio, 0 novella, but 1 novel in verse, which was Red, White and Whole. So 8 books were a new book for me. I've never read them before, but I had 2 rereads this month. One is Making Money by Terry Pratchett, and the other is Percy Jackson and the Battle of the Labyrinth. 9 of these books are mine. I own all of these. It's very exciting. I'm very lucky. 1 is borrowed. So this is my mum's book. I borrowed this from Nata and had it for a really long time, over 2 years, but she's going to get it back soon. 8 of these books are white, European-centric focused books, and 2 we have by global majority authors. And that is Red, White and Whole and Sing Me to Sleep. So as I'm aiming for 50% of my books to be global majority, not great this month. I definitely put the focus more on fitting books to suit the Magical Readathon, as well as wanting to kind of finish off certain series and buddy reads. So hopefully I can keep improving and be reading more global majority books. So not great for me this month. So in terms of diversity, my reading was better this month. So I have 2 books which have good LGBTQ plus representation in them. And when I'm looking at this, there were some other books that had some great secondary characters that were part of the LGBTQ plus community, but I'm classing this by having a protagonist or a strong theme in the book with that. So I have The Shadow Cabinet by Juno Dawson, and one of the main characters is queer and one of the main characters is trans in this book. Sorry, queer is such an umbrella. One of the main characters, I don't know if it states if she's bi or lesbian, but there's a sapphic relationship in here, and we have a trans female in here, and also this book is written by a trans woman, Juno Dawson. And LGBT in LGBT plus is written by Jamie Rains, a trans man, and obviously is speaking all about what it is to be trans. In terms of neurodivergent, Percy and Percy Jackson is dyslexic, so that covers that. I have 2 books that deal with mental health, so very big theme in Julia and the Shark. There is representation of a discussion about dementia and representation of bipolar. And then in Red, White and Whole, there is some things of depression and struggling with depression, but the main theme in this one is illness. So Red, White and Whole features an illness, and one of the characters in this book being very ill and how that affects the family. I'm not going to say what it is, just in case it feels spoilery, so I'm just not going to mention that. It is in my wrap-ups about this book if you wanted to know more, which I will link. Yeah. And then in Fool's Assassin, we do have the main characters with in this fantasy world treated differently because of their physical appearance, and there is a character that has a slow development and struggles with speaking. So there was kind of like physical disability challenges for a main character in Fool's Assassin, and I thought that was done really well, and I thought it was very truthful about looking at the feelings of the parents for when you have a child with a disability, and it's just, I love this book. I just love this book. Anyway, let's move on to series. So series I'm very pleased with. Although I haven't finished any series this month, I have made progress with 3 series that have been on my list for a while. So we have The Hollow Hills, which is the 2nd book in the Merlin trilogy. I have The Shadow Cabinet, which is the 2nd book in Her Majesty's Royal Coven series. Don't know how many books there are. And the 4th book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympians series. I then have started 2 books. So technically you can say that Fool's Assassin is a continuation because I'm continuing with the Realm of the Elderlings, but I class finishing the series as each separate trilogy, so therefore I need to class it as starting a series. So I've got 2 starting a series books. However, I'm up to date with 2 books. So even though I started Sing Me to Sleep, it's actually up to date because there's only 1 out so far. And The Shadow Cabinet, we're waiting now for Human Rights to be published next summer. Waiting! So I'm up to date with both of these. So although I haven't finished, I'm up to date. So that's great. Yay! So now I'm going to talk about my least favourite and my favourite. I enjoyed all the books that I read this month. Obviously there are some I enjoy more than others, but I really had a good time reading all the books. But having to pick one that I didn't enjoy as much as the others, it is The Horse That Came Home. And the reason for this is just because it's not the themes dealt with is not something that I get excited about and would naturally kind of gravitate for reading. However, I did enjoy that I hadn't read a book about horse and a book about, looking after pets, horses, animal welfare. I hadn't read that before. There was also some lovely sister, what's the word? Representation is not the wrong word, but I can't think of a better way to describe it. aspects of the relationship of sisters being explored. Anyway, that was in there and that was great. So although it's not my favourite, it was still a really, really good book. So if there are people out there who like reading about animal stories, I think you will really enjoy this one. My favourite. It's so hard. It's so hard. So again, I'm kind of splitting it into middle grade and adult because I can't do it. Both Julia and the Shark and Red, White and Whole were really emotional books. They were so beautifully written and they're just lovely, beautiful stories. I cannot pick between them. I think they both had different strengths and weaknesses within them, but the themes they explored were beautifully done. You really felt for the protagonist of the story, you felt for the families, it was really lovely in the friendships, and I just think both of these are gorgeous. And if you love middle grade, or if you're someone that really enjoys like an emotional book and would like to try a middle grade, maybe give these a go because they are both written beautifully. So I can't pick. Both of these are my favourite, and I haven't even picked up ones that aren't middle grade. So let's look at that, shall we? I loved all of these. I love them. The Shadow Cabinet, I just had the best time reading. Although I do prefer Her Majesty's Royal Coven, I still had a wonderful time with the Shadow Cabinet. Sing Me to Sleep, I had an amazing time with that book. I really loved the world. I loved the characters. I loved so much about it. And it delivered on what I was excited about. I was really excited about the premise, and she delivered on it. And you know Hob, you know I love Hob. It was Fool's Assassin, it was wonderful. Because I've got to be, I can't have 5 favourites. I've got to try and narrow it down. So I think you know where this is going to go. As much as I love these two, it's my favourite series. Like, I just can't not pick Hob. So boring answer. it's Fool's Assassin, because it's like coming home. It's so beautiful. It's such a gorgeous book. I absolutely love it. I'm not going to talk any more about it because I talk for loads in my wrap up. So if you're interested in more about why this is my favourite, maybe go and look at that. So yeah, for the month, favourites. It's all the emotional heartstrings. All the emotional heartstrings that have caught me. How has your August reading been? Please let me know in the comments. You know I love a chat. Tell me, what was your favourite book that you read in August? Have you got a lot of books that you were planning to read in August and didn't get round to? What are you most excited about reading? And how are your stats if you gather that information? Let me know how it's all going. Happy reading, everyone.